and I am here today with a live beading class. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the questions we've been getting in our weekly live beading classes and answer them in this show, because there's been a lot of questions that keep coming up and I haven't had the supplies or materials on hand to answer them right then and there, or I've been able to answer them but not demonstrate them. So that's what I want to do here. So we're going to cover memory wire end caps. That's been a big one. Needles, like which needle do you choose? What's the difference between the needles? Glue. We've got a lot of different things to cover. My wire looping pliers, the different size loops you can make. So it's going to be a really fun show, and we're going to cover a lot of different topics. So hopefully we're going to get some of those questions answered and demonstrated. And then if you have more questions, definitely feel free to ask them. Now, we are here at a special time today. It is Friday, not Thursday, guys. I'm sorry. I was sick yesterday, so I was not able to do my regularly scheduled show, but normally you can always catch us at 9 a.m. Pacific time on Thursdays at Beadaholique. And we've got Eric and Michelle in the background, so they're going to be helping us today. So that's going to be lots of fun. So if you have any questions, and we're also going to be having a giveaway. So what we're going to be giving away, and we'll talk about this a couple more times in the show, is I have a beaded Kumihimo bracelet kit. This is for the wrapped bracelet. You can actually see it right here in the picture. It's a really, really fun project. So if you love to do Kumihimo, or you've been wanting to do Kumihimo and haven't tried it yet, this kit has everything you need. So we are going to be giving this away towards the end of the show, so stick with us. And also, these are now back in stock at Beadaholique. They've been out of stock for the longest time, and they're one of our most popular kits. And also, I now have scheduled a Kumihimo class that I'm going to be doing in April. So you can also learn to do Kumihimo with me live with your kit. So kind of fun. That whole thing is super fun. So, and I see Francie here. Hello, Francie. Good morning to you. Thank you guys for joining me at this strange time. I do apologize again that I wasn't able to do it at my normal time yesterday. So just a couple quick things before I flip my camera down and we get started. If you are new to this platform, welcome. We love to bead. We love our community. Couple things that way this works is if you like what you see, there's a little heart icon. You can click on it. It shows me little floating hearts. If you have any questions, just put them into the comment box. I'll try to answer them live, or Eric and Michelle will. I see Alice here and Aura, hello, and Piper's here. Hi, Piper. And I love it. Alice is working and watching. That's wonderful. And then if you have any questions about what I'm using, you can always click on that shopping bag icon. It has everything that's on my table preloaded. So what you can do is you don't have to wait for me to talk about it. You can go there, you can click on it, you can learn more about it, and you can add it right to your shopping cart from there as well. And I see Ray is here, and Patty, and Terry, and Liz. Yay! Okay, guys, I want to get started. My voice is still a little bit off, but I am much better than yesterday. Oh, Santa Barbara girl, hello. Okay, all my friends are here. Okay, let's flip the camera down. And for those of you who just joined, because I know we just got a bunch who just joined us, we are going to do a giveaway today, a full-size beaded Kumihimo bracelet kit with all the tools, everything you need, the disc, the bobbins, the beads, everything is in here. So we will give this away today during the show. All right, guys, let's flip the camera down. Hello, sunny backyard. It's going to be 75 here today. Okay. Hello. Okay, let's start kind of looking at what I have here. I have so much on my table. It's actually a bit overwhelming. I'm probably going to have to kind of curate some of this, but I really wanted to try to cover some of those questions that have come up, and I just haven't had the supplies on hand at the time during the previous live shows to answer them. So, where should we begin? Let's begin with needles. So let me clear some of this away. So guys, I have to share, look at my new glassware. A dear friend of mine gave me some beautiful glass pieces. So now I get to put my beads in them. So I was so excited. I think that she knows that I love, love, love vintage glass, and they make perfect bead holders. Okay, so let's clear a little bit away. Guys, we're also going to talk about thread and wire protectors here, because that was a big one. That was something that we got a lot of questions about how do you use them. We'll also talk about crimp bead covers as well, and how do you use them? How do you apply them? So a lot to cover. Oh, and Sue is new to Kumi. Kumi is addictive. It's very relaxing. It's very Zen-like. So definitely join us for that class in April. I know that there's a link that Michelle can provide, so you guys can put it on your calendars. Hi, Susan from Seattle. Love my new glass. Yay, thank you. Oh my gosh. Guys, I don't have any beads in it, but I have to show you a couple of the other pieces she gave me just real quick because I'm absolutely in love with all of this. And then I swear we'll start beading. But how pretty is all of that? So fortunate. Okay. And this one would be great to fill with beads too. Imagine that filled with a bead soup. Okay. Okay, now I have to get going with beading. So this is a question that has come up a lot of how do you choose the right needle for your project? So I have 3 different types of needles here. I'm going to do a little side-by-side comparison. Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, aren't they pretty? I mean, I couldn't believe she gave them to me. They were so beautiful. They were in her family and they were clearing out some stuff. And she said that her and her parents really wanted them to go to someone who would enjoy them and display them and love them. So I was so grateful to get them. Oh, and thank you, Debbie, for the earring compliment. That was a whole live class we did. So if you want to see how to do those, we do save all these classes. They are archived. So you can always go back and watch the tutorial for that. Okay, so I have a twisted wire needle, and now I have a big eye needle. So this one just popped out. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So a big eye needle, well, actually, let me get all 3 needles out first, and we'll do this side by side. Oh, Terry, so Kumihimo is actually really easy. Once you get the hang of it, I know it looks like a lot to begin with, and that's one of the really neat things is your finished piece looks super complicated, but it's actually not that hard to do. And it gets to the point where you almost just memorize it like crochet or knitting, where you kind of can just do it and turn your brain off. So it becomes really fun. Okay, so I have 3 different needles, guys. I have a traditional beading needle right here. I have a big eye needle right here, and I have a twisted wire needle. So the traditional beading needle, you'll see right here has that one little hole up top. Now this is good if you are using wildfire, fireline, you're doing some bead weaving, you're doing some bead embroidery, maybe you have NYMO. So that is what this is for. Now, the smaller the number, the larger the needle. So a size 9 needle is bigger than a 13. And usually you're going to use a 10 or an 11 for a lot of things. Do they make different sizes in the big eye needles? Yes, they make long and short. I believe I have what's considered a short one here, believe it or not, because I have seen longer ones. Now here is a big eye needle. Now a big eye needle, look at this, guys. That is the eye of your needle. So you could see how you just pull that apart. So this would be really good if you have a textile or a thread that is too big to go through this little itty bitty hole on a traditional beading needle. So you could go ahead and use this. Now, I've also seen people use a big eye needle for loom work. You can put your thread in here, and because you have a nice longer expanse, because if you see the length of it, and this is considered the short one, you can actually use this for loom if you don't want the big, long, traditional loom needle, if that's a little bit too big. So I use this for Eslon, is primarily what I use this for. Now, my other needle that I have here is a twisted wire needle. Now, the advantage to this one is watch what you can do. One, it has a big eye, so you can put things like Eslon, Opalon, different cords through it, but watch what this does. If we could get that in focus, it actually bends. So this is good if you're trying to wiggle through spaces that are not necessarily straight and you want to have that flexibility of a super flexible needle. It is also incredibly thin. So it is thinner than your big eye needle. So if you need to do multiple passes, or like for stretch cord bracelets, I tend to use this one because I can have that thickness of the stretch cord. Like I have stretch cord right here. So I have the stretch cord right here. We can put it through this nice large eye. But what's nice is, see, you've got this doubled. So that becomes quite thick. So when you're going through the different beads, you want your needle to be really thin. So I love the twisted wire needle for stretch cord. So hopefully that answered a few questions about why would you choose which needle and when would you choose it. Now what's nice is these are reusable. You get them in a huge pack. This will get compressed down a little bit, but you can always widen it by just taking a toothpick, putting it into the hole and twisting it around. It will reshape your hole for you. Okay, so that kind of covers a little bit about needles. If you have any more questions, definitely feel free to ask, and I'll try to answer them if I can see them pop up. Okay, another thing that has come up a lot is we love to do memory wire, right? So here is a memory wire bracelet we did in a different class. Yes, the eye compresses, Terry. Great question. I'm going to show you that. Let me just show you that real quick. Let me pull that back because I can show you on the twisted wire one. So this eye is perfectly circular right now, if we can see that. And then when we go through a bead, let me just go through a bead here. Okay, so if we just take a bead and we go through it, when it goes through, when it goes through the bead, what's going to happen is that's going to get compressed. So we're just going to pull it through, and you see how it kind of now is more oval shape or a teardrop shape, if you can see that. And as you go through more times, it is going to keep compressing that. But like I said, what's nice is when you're done with that project and you want to reuse it and you want that eye to be nice and big to start with again, all you have to do is take your toothpick, put it in there, twist it around a little bit, and you're going to open up that eye again. You're going to open it up so it's nice and big. So you can keep reusing these needles. So you do get a huge pack. You get 50 in a pack, but you can keep reusing them, which is really nice. Okay, so another big thing that we've talked about, and I've never had the supplies on hand, have been memory wire ends. So when we've done classes before, here's a memory wire bracelet that we made, right? And we did the little loop. So I tend to often do the little loop because I like to hang dangles from it. So if I can just show you real quick, I have some scraps. It's a super easy way to finish your memory wire ends. So if you want to make it so you can hang a little dangle on it, you can just take your pliers and you can make a little loop. You bend it. It's really strong wire. That's why I'm using my wubbers. But you just make a little loop and then you can hang a dangle from it. Is there a better length of twisted needle to work with than others? So I think the twisted needles only come in one length. The big eye needles, I believe, come in two different lengths, a short and a long. But I think the twisted only come in one length. Honestly, if it's too long for you, if you feel like maybe you want it to be a little bit shorter, I think, let's try it. I think you can easily just cut this. I'm gonna give it a try. See if I can make this shorter, because you get 50 in a pack. Yep, you can just cut the end off if you want to make it a shorter needle. Okay, so that's one way to finish memory wire bracelets, right? This is the one we normally do in classes. It's just super easy to do. But we've talked about that there is something called a memory wire end cap. So I finally have some. So this is a memory wire end. And if we can kind of try to scoot these guys around, they are basically a half drilled bead. So it has a hole right there. The one I'm touching right there has a hole facing up, and you can see that they're smooth on the other side. So what they look like, and I just glued this morning, so hopefully it doesn't pop off on me. This is what it looks like on the end of your memory wire. So instead of having that loop for a dangle, you end in a nice bead. And that bead acts as your stopper. So that's going to keep your beads from falling off, and it just gives it a really nice look to it. So I'm going to show you how you put one of these guys on. So I'm going to move some stuff around. And you guys, we have two choices of glue. We have GS Hypo Cement and we have E6000. So two different types of glue. A lot comes down to preference. Some are better for different applications than others. For this application with the memory wire ends, I feel like both work fine. GS Hypo Cement is more liquidy, and it has a really fine applicator tip. So you see that right there. E6000 is thicker and a little bit more gloopy. I find it a little bit easier in some cases to work with. This can kind of spill over if you're trying to like go into a really small area. I'm going to show you just that in 1 second here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my space a little bit because there's a little trick here I want to show you. So we're bringing out the Play-Doh. So any type of clay or blue tack, anything that is kind of sticky and pliable is going to work for this. And you're probably thinking, what the heck am I doing? Because I don't want to get glue on my hands, and I want to have a way of stabilizing my bead. So I just grab the kids' Play-Doh, and this is like 59 cents. If you just don't have something and you want to just go and get it, like this is not expensive. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a little ball with this right here. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to grab one of the memory wire ends right here, and I'm going to find the hole and set it down into my little bit of clay with the hole facing up. And you know what? You'll probably want it, like it's very therapeutic to play with the Play-Doh. I was playing with it this morning. All right, so I've got that and it's now stabilized. And I see we just had a bunch of people join us, so welcome. We are live. It is Friday. We're usually here on Thursdays at 9 a.m., but I was sick yesterday. We are answering some of the most frequent questions from all our live shows. So if you have any new questions, definitely post them in the comments, and hopefully I'll answer some of them that didn't quite get demonstrated in past shows because I didn't have the materials. Yes, so if the point, yes, it can be a little hard to close GS Hypo Cement. If that point comes off, it's definitely going to be hard. So I'm going to show you guys with some E6000. Now you could do this with GS Hypo Cement too. You can just put it down into the well, and the applicator tip would be nice for that as well. I'm just going to use a little E6000 right now. So two different ways of doing this, guys. If you're using E6000, you are going to put it on the tip of your wire. If you are using GS Hypo Cement, you are going to put it into that well of that bead, that little half drilled bead, because this has a really fine applicator tip. So I've got my E6000 right here. Just put a little bit on. You can have a Post-it, a piece of plastic, whatever it may be. Okay, and we're just going to grab a little. Separate it out. So, and then we're just going to put it on the tip. And this dries, it preliminary dries really fast, and then you have to wait 24 hours for it to cure. Okay, so now it's on the tip. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to try to hold it. Hopefully I can do this where you guys can see it. I'm going to hold it, put it in there. I'm actually going to push it down, and I'm going to drag it off. This clay is just going to come off of it. Don't worry about the clay right now. You'll clean the clay off later. but now it's on there. The clay is not going to stick to it. So also it helped to put it on like a little platform. So I just turned this upside down because it made it so I didn't have to like distort my metal too much. So that is now on there. You can give it a push. You can clear off the excess clay when you're done, but that is now on there. So you're going to let that cure for 24 hours. And when you're done, where's my sample? This is what you're going to have. You're going to have a nice little ball at the end of your memory wire bracelets. Again, GS Hypo Cement will work fine too. And what everyone's talking about, let me show you guys. So those of you who are not familiar with GS Hypo Cement, let me show you what the applicator tip looks like. So when you take off the lid, look at this. You have a really fine needle-like tip. And in the lid itself is a needle that goes into that tip. So let's actually keep using glue since we have some glue right now, because I wanted to talk about glue for a couple other instances too. And then we're also going to talk about thread and wire protectors and crimp bead covers and wire looping pliers. So we're really covering a lot of different techniques here today. Oh, I love it, Rita. You know, I've learned a lot of these tips from other designers too, and that's what's so great about the beading community. Okay, you guys remember this from last week? We have our loom. I actually just put a bracelet back on the loom because I did get some questions about glue on the knots. So as you're doing this, if you remember right, you knot here with the leather cord. Now, I've never had a leather cord knot come out. I tug them pretty good, but you could put some glue on the leather cord knots if you want. Now, if you also are at all worried about your knotting for your silk thread, you can add some glue to it as well. So what I'm going to do for this, oh, it does look like a caterpillar. I love it. Okay, so in this case, GS Hypo Cement could be really good because it's got that precision applicator tip. So let's go ahead and take this off. And you see how it has that needle in there. So if you are at all worried about your knots, you're just going to go ahead and you're going to put some glue onto your knots. Now, the GS Hypo Cement is more liquidy than the E6000. So I just kind of have to touch the knots with it, and it's going to seep down into there. So when you want to put your lid back on, and this is where it gets kind of tricky, my eyes always struggle with this, especially when I'm trying to kind of hold it away from my hand. Okay, so there, once it's on, you screw it back and you're good to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend, now we know that the construction of this bracelet, you only have knots on this side. But let's say you wanted to use E6000. Let's pretend, because I already put glue on this knot, I don't want to do double glue. Let's pretend that this is a knot. I want to show you how you would apply the E6000. So to apply the E6000, with the GS Hypo Cement, you basically could just kind of touch it and it's going to seep down into your cords. With the E6000, what you're going to do is you're going to put some on a toothpick so you don't have too much. And what you're going to do, let's pretend that this is a knot, you're going to actually push it into your knot a little bit. So you're just going to kind of push it down into there so it gets into the fibers. And then that you'll let dry as well. So that's how you would add glue to a Rapid loom bracelet if you wanted to. All right, guys. So I have a stretch bracelet too. Kind of the same principle. If you're making a stretch bracelet, yes, Julie, absolutely. You can use finial beads on the ends too. I have done that. I actually have a video I did on that as well. So finial beads, for those who are not familiar, basically look identical to these guys. They're basically half drilled beads, but they're checked glass and they come in a ton of colors. So you could definitely use finial beads as memory wire ends and they work great. I have tested that out and they do great. And then Jacqueline's saying, I usually rub Vaseline around the rim of my glue bottle to help prevent the glue from hardening to the cap. Oh, that's a really good tip. I had not thought to do that. I love that. Okay, so I have a stretch bracelet here. So if you want, we often get questions, should I glue my knots on stretch bracelets? Sure. It is never a bad idea. If you're at all worried about your knots, go ahead and put a little bit of glue on them. It won't ever do any harm. So if we've got it right here, and I just want to do this real quick. So let's say we're going to do some more E6000 on this one. You could do the E6000 or the GS Hypo. Where did I put it? Okay, so if you are going to do it, what I like to do is before I trim, I separate my knot out, I push the glue into it, and then I tug it some more so that basically that glue gets really squished into the knot. And then you would wait for it to dry and you would trim your tails. So that's another question that's come up a bit of, should I add some glue to my stretch bracelets? So you can definitely do that. All right, guys, we're clicking along. Don't forget, we are going to do a giveaway. So the giveaway is going to be for this beaded Kumihimo wrap bracelet kit. These are all back in stock on the Beadaholique website. Yay! So you get the disc and the bobbins, and you get all the beads and the glue. There's that E6000 and the cord and the clasp. So we're going to give this away here in a few minutes. I'm going to cover a little bit more. Actually, you know what? Let's cover a little bit more and then we'll give this away. Okay, so do you guys want to do we want to do the loops? Let's do the loops with the wire looping pliers, because that's another question that comes up. And then we'll do thread and wire protectors and crimp bead covers. So much that we're covering. Okay, so you guys know I love my wire looping pliers, and I use them all the time instead of round nose. So if I was going to do, let's just grab some beads here. And these are these Mr. Kitty curated bead mixes that I'm using. So they're a great way of just getting like a nice bead assortment. I love having them. So I'm just going to take a bead. Oh, thank you guys. The kits are really fun. We're so excited we have them back. And like I said, I'm going to do that Kumihimo class. So if you have been wanting to do Kumihimo, you can always pick up a kit. It'll have everything you need, and then join me for the class and I'll teach you how to do it live. All right. So here we go. If we're going to make a wrapped wire loop, squish. It does it, half of it for you. Rotate up. Twist over and make your wrappings. So this is kind of the one that I do a lot. This is the size I do a lot. And then you just trim your tail. And don't forget, guys, everything's in that shopping bag if you have any questions about the items I'm using. Okay, so little wrapped wire loop. So I do get questions a lot, those, can you make different sized wrapped wire loops with that same pair of pliers? And the answer is yes. So now we're going to do the same bead and we're going to do a much bigger loop. So instead of being on the tip here, we're going to go down here towards the handle. So see where I'm positioning that? The pliers are great, guys. They really do make loops so darn easy. Okay. So look at how big that is when we pulled it out. So same way of making it though. We're just going to go in now with our chain nose. And some people just hold it in their pliers the whole time. You can do that too. I like a little bit more, I feel like I have a little more control with the chain nose, but it is totally up to you. Okay, and then we're going to do a side-by-side comparison so we can see what our loops look like. Okay, so here we go. So same pair of pliers, two very different sizes. And what's nice is because these are not notched or there's no rhyme or reason to where you have to place it, you can make the tiniest little loops here and you can do all different sizes along this nose here. So you have a lot of flexibility with this pair of pliers. And they're my favorite tool. They are my absolute favorite tool. All right, guys, let's do a giveaway, and then we're going to go and do crimp bead covers and thread protectors. So let me give you a little preview, and then we'll do the giveaway. So here's what this would look like with a thread protector on there, and basically it is protecting your wire, or especially if you have thread, from getting overly worn with like the clasp mechanism where it's going back and forth, because it's rubbing now on the metal, it's not rubbing on any type of thread or wire. And then a crimp bead cover just looks like a bead. So this is how the end of a strung project looks. So there are some nice finishing techniques. Okay, so let's do our giveaway. So, okay, we are giving away to one lucky winner this beaded Kumihimo wrap bracelet kit. There's also a full instructional tutorial video, so you get written instructions, but I did a whole video on this too, so you have a start to finish video. All right, first person to answer this question correctly. All right, so in a lot of lives, I often talk about my naughty squirrel who's always up to shenanigans in my backyard as I'm doing my classes. What is the name of my squirrel? Does anyone remember what I have named my squirrel? I know this is a tough question, guys. And we do have a backup question if no one knows. And Michelle's going to be the first one to pick out the answer. I know this was a really hard question. All right, I think I saw the correct answer, but I'm going to let Michelle confirm. I love all the answers. Those are all really good names. Okay, I'm going to wait for Michelle to pull it first, because definitely I saw the correct answer. Oh, Lisa. Usually our questions are not specific so to past shows, but they are fun. Michelle, Piper won. My squirrel is Jeff. Jeff is my squirrel. He is so naughty. He has torn up my seat cushions. He has eaten into my bin of bird seed for my birdies. He has taken down my bird feeder. He has jumped on it from afar. He is my naughty squirrel. He keeps getting into everything. So congratulations, Piper. We're going to mail this out to you. So Michelle will connect with you and get your mailing address so that we can ship this out to you. All right, that was fun. And for those who didn't win this time, definitely check back. We periodically do these giveaways during lives. They're really fun. And, you know, they usually every couple shows we do a giveaway, which is fun. Put beads in his feeder. I love it. Yeah, he is just, oh my gosh, he's so naughty. We can't leave the kids' toys out there because he'll eat them. He's eaten through like a Nerf football. He is just our naughty, naughty little squirrel. Okay. So this is fun. We talked about these ever so briefly, but didn't demonstrate how to use them before. And that is a thread and wire protector. So this is what it looks like. It's like a little horseshoe, and it's got a little groove, and it's got two little like tube ends on either side. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your crimp bead on first. I've already finished one end, and we're going to finish this end. Okay, so you start with your crimp tube. I like crimp tubes better than crimp beads. They just work a little easier for me. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take your beading wire. Oh no, Santa Barbara girl. The naughty squirrel is wrecking your feeder. Yes, they get into everything. Have you guys seen those bird feeders that attach to the windows, and they're clear acrylic so you can see the birds feeding right on your window? I want one, but I just know that Jeff is going to get into it. Okay, so here's our little finding, and what you're going to do is you're going to go up through one side of it. And like I said, there's like a little tube. It's like a little channel right there. Okay. And then you're going to arch it over. And you're going to go down through the other side. So you make like this big horseshoe. Hello, Rachel. Okay. And when you pull it down, it sits in the well of this finding. So then you see the part that's then going to be against a clasp or a charm or whatever you're putting it against, or maybe you're connecting it to chain. Basically, the part that's going to rub is no longer your wire or thread. If you're doing this with thread, is going to be the metal part of this bracket. So it's a really kind of cool little finding that I don't think a lot of people know exist, but it's a nice finishing touch. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to slide it down towards our bracelet. Gonna slide it on down. So it's now near the crimp tube. And actually it just slid into the crimp tube, the little monkey. Okay, but now we need to put our clasp on. So I'm going to take my clasp. I've got my little lobster right here. And all of this stuff is in the shopping bag. Ooh, good question, Audrey. Are there charts telling you what size to buy, what size wire protector to buy for your wire and thread? I don't think there's a chart, but I do know that the listing itself does give specifics on what it works with in terms of the size of the wire. And then the wire itself usually tells you what size crimp tube to use. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's kind of faded. But this will then tell you the size. Like this says it needs a number 2 crimp tube, a number 1 crimp bead, and then the listing for the thread and wire protector should share with you what size wire it works with. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to put this so that the loop of the clasp is along that little horseshoe. See how that's now on that horseshoe? So that's going to protect it from rubbing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our wire and we're going to go back through, and I have actually way too much wire here. I'm going to cut a little bit, make life a little easier. Oh, good, Paula. I'm glad it helps. Well, you know, these questions have been coming up in the classes, and I just didn't have the supplies to share like a demonstration because I'm a visual person. I need to see more than be told something. So I wanted to do this class where I could kind of actually pull the supplies and demonstrate some of this. Okay, guys. So we went back down. I do, Tracy. And my house, oh my gosh, you would not believe how many beads are everywhere in this house. It is crazy. Okay, so we've got the thread and wire protector. We've got the clasp on there. It looped around like a horseshoe. We're going back down through the crimp tube. Yes, Debbie, we carry this work mat. It's called a treasure mat because it's got these little spots for you to put your findings in. It should be in the shopping bag. If it's not, I know Michelle can definitely add it. Okay, so now we're going to crimp our crimp tube. A little tip before you crimp a strung bracelet, make sure it's not too stiff. So I usually lay mine out like this. Make sure it can make the curve and it's got a little extra wiggle room allowance. This actually feels good, but you don't want it to be too tight. If it's in a straight line and your beads are super like crunched up against each other, you're not going to get the nice soft flexibility to go around your wrist. So you kind of just want to make sure that you check that before you actually crimp. Now we're going to crimp using our standard crimping pliers. And I'm pulling the beading wire off to the side. So I've got basically 2 channels in there that I'm going to be creating. And I'm going to now crimp. I squished it with one. And now I'm going to go do the other, where it's, you know, it's always this 2-step process with these crimping pliers. Hopefully you guys are able to see that. Okay. And then crimp. All right. So what we've got our thread and wire protector. We have our crimp tube, And now I want to show you the final finishing thing. And this is a little tricky. I'm going to admit this is a little tricky to do on camera because these are fiddly, but maybe that's a good reason to do them, to show you guys how to fiddle with it. I am not going to trim my tail just yet. I'm going to trim my tail after I get my crimp cover on here. I just want to have a little bit more to actually hold on to. Okay, so crimp bead covers are basically Pac-Mans. Always reminds me of like a Pac-Man here. So you want the Pac-Man mouth facing out. They're like a bead that is open. So it's not a, like a solid bead, it's an open bead. And what you're going to do is you're going to go in here. And like I said, it's actually a little easier if I have this tail for some reason. You're going to I'm going to try to see if I can do this where we can see it. Basically, we're going to go ahead and have our Pac-Man eat our crimp tube. And you're just going to go around it. And then what you're going to do is carefully squish it with your pliers to close the mouth of the Pac-Man. And then you're going to go around here. And you just kind of shape it a little bit with your pliers. And then I'm going to trim my tail. Yes, we do have the crimping pliers. I was using the standard size one because I use size 2 crimp tubes the most, and they work with them. But here's the crimping pliers, and they've got that double notch. So you always start with the back with like the little kidney bean, and then you rotate it and do the front. And then here is our finished piece. So if you can see, we've got that crimp bead covering our crimp tube, so it just looks like a bead. We got our thread and wire protector, and this can still move. So you still got the flexibility that you would normally have, but now you've got that added protection. And we did that on both sides. So over here, I just did a closed jump ring. But there's what our finished ends look like on our strung bracelet. It takes time. You guys, I'm nervous. Every time I put a crimp bead cover on, I am always nervous that I'm going to misshape it. But it seems to work out. Just go slow. Just go really slow and then kind of shape it and form it as you go. Oh, I love that Piper. Piper saying she uses crimping pliers to close crimp covers. That's a really good idea. Okay, when making a bracelet with lobster claw, how much do you estimate for the closure? Oh, are you talking for like in terms of your bracelet length? Like how much do you add? Because this is going to add a good inch. All my finishing, findings here probably added a little bit over an inch to the overall length. But there's a bracelet. And this is one of those Mr. Kitty mixes, by the way. This is one of the little curated, I think it's called Midnight Sky or something like that, that I used to make this bracelet. And I just added a little silver fire polish to it too. Yeah, so I usually add, kind of my rule of thumb is I usually add about an inch for my clasps. Even on the Rapid Loom, the clasp itself and the knot, and then this knotting part added about an inch to it. This added about an inch. So if I wanted to make a 7-inch bracelet, I would string about 6 inches of beads and then know that this would take about an inch. Can you use a regular plier to do it? I have not had success with a regular plier for crimping. And the reason is, let me see if I can show you real quick. Where's my bead stopper? So here, I'm going to put a bead stopper on real quick. These are great questions. This is the perfect time to ask. So if a wrist is about 6, then beads are 5. Yeah, usually about, it depends on the clasps can vary. You can have really petite little clasps. You can have larger ones. But yeah, you're going to definitely be adding some length with all of this closure mechanism and all the covers and the thread and wire protectors. So it definitely does add some. All right, so let's just go ahead. Let me take this little mix right here. excuse me, this cold is almost gone, knock on wood. Okay, so the way a crimp bead works, and the reason you use crimping pliers specifically, excuse me, let me just get a little drink here real quick. Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Santa Barbara girl. I love doing this, and I love teaching it. Okay, so let's pretend that this was a whole strung bracelet. So if you wanted to put on a crimp bead, and this is a tube here. So the tube is more cylindric in shape. And then let's say, I don't know if I have another clasp. Let me look. Okay, let's do the jump ring. So I'm not going to do the thread and wire protector on this one because we did that already. Because let me just show you though. So let's say you've got this. This is the other half of your clasp. And then you're going to go ahead, go down through your crimp tube again. Okay, so the reason that you're going to use specific crimping pliers is you see how you have basically two strands going through it now, right? So you've got the one that went up, looped around, and came back down. So what I do is I like to pull them apart to make them kind of each go off to a side. Then you go in with your pliers, and you're going to go with that back notch. In theory, you're going to go in with it. There we go. Okay, so I'm holding them off to the side, right? So they're separated out. And then when we crimp it, I want to show you what it looks like. So now what you've got is you've got two channels. So that crimping plier didn't just flatten it, it actually flattened it more in the middle with two channels for your cords. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go through with the top notch. You're going to rotate it so it's on its side. And when it's on its side, okay, so now it's on its side, you're going to squish it and it folds in on itself. So then it then goes like this. So that makes it extra secure. So that's why you use crimping pliers specifically, so you can get those two channels and fold over so it's really secure. So hopefully that answered that question. That's why you'd use it. And then how do you remember the names of all your different tools? Do you label them? So I don't label mine. I think I have like 5 or 6 tools that I use all the time. And I don't actually use too many more than that. So these are my core. If I'm stringing, I bring in the crimping pliers. Almost every other project I do, unless it's memory wire for a memory wire cutter, just uses these 4 tools. These do the majority of all my jewelry making. 2 pairs of chain nose. Oh, hi, Debbie. So we are talking about most frequently asked questions during the past lives, and we're demonstrating them, but you could definitely catch the replay. Okay, so with chain nose pliers, I always have 2 pairs that are very, very different. I have a heavy duty Wubbers. This is good because I can turn the memory wire ends with it. It's actually, do I have a tube? I don't have a tube of seed beads. I use this to pull off my tubes of seed bead lids. It's a little bit broader, so it's a little bit of it's more substantial. Then I use this one for getting into tight corners because it's got such a fine tip. So I figure if you need 2 pairs of chain nose pliers anyways to open and close jump rings, things like that, might as well have them a little bit different to do different purposes for different projects. So I've got those. My cutters I use for everything. I use these for wire. I use these for beading wire. They are just my cutters I use for everything. And then I don't use round nose pliers at all. I just use my wire looping. So those are my 4 tools that I use for basically everything, unless it's a super specific thing like crimping a crimp bead or cutting memory wire. Does So good. I think, guys, we covered everything. Does anyone else have any questions before I flip the camera back up? All right, I'm going to flip the camera up so we can say goodbye for the weekend, and then I'll see you guys next week too. Okay. All right. Okay. Ooh, here's the bracelet so you can see it. Here we go. And I don't know if you can see that, but there's that closure again. So thank you guys for joining me. That was fun. Thank you for the hearts. I'm glad we were able to do this. We will keep doing shows like this if you guys like them. I do feel like it's a little bit easier to see something being demonstrated than just say it. I do try to talk through it during the classes, and I can't read comments without my glasses. Oh, thank you guys. Oh, and the earrings. So these are the earrings. These are using prestige crystal beads, some charm chain, and we have a past live class for these, and we actually have a project page too. So you can see that too. So these were fun to make. It's really simple actually. It's just a little right angle weave. Okay. All right. Oh, good. Okay. Yes, back to basics is good too. I agree. Well, and there's some things that we just don't even like think about, like those thread protectors. Like they exist. They've existed for a long time, but I always forget about them. So it's kind of fun to showcase those. All right. Thank you guys. If you added anything to your shopping bag, your shopping cart, don't forget to check out so you have fun things to play with. And then I will see you guys next week. And thank you, Piper. And congratulations, Piper, on winning the giveaway. We will get this sent out to you. So that will get shipped out. And yes, hopefully by next week, this cold will be 100% gone. I'm done. 2 weeks of it. So bye, guys. Oh, thank you, Laura. Oh, and this was a special time, guys. So if you're new to this and this was your first time, we're usually on Thursdays. I was just out sick yesterday. So Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific time is when we come live here at Beadaholique. All right, thank you, Tracy. Still trying to master loops, so more demos. Definitely, Jane, we will get more demos on loops. I will even break out the round nose pliers too. I'll show you how to do it on the round nose because it is good to see both ways. I'll just have to practice because I like my wire looping. All right, thank you guys. Happy spring. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next Thursday. Debbie, no, definitely not. We are all good. So, and we are going to keep doing these shows every single Thursday. And oh, hello. But we do have the replay. So if you joined us late, just coming on, this is all archived, all saved. You can see it over at beadaholique.com. On the homepage, there's my face. You click on that, I'll take you to all the saved shows. All right, I'm trying to read the comments, don't miss anything. But guys, this was fun. I'm glad you liked it. I will see you guys next week. Bye.